So thought leadership. Everybody wants to do thought leadership content, right? And if you do it right, there is no other content that can differentiate your brand better than thought leadership content. But we have other goals too. We also want to rank for the right keywords. And until now, most brands have seen search optimized content and thought leadership as mutually exclusive. Well, for one, there's the assumption that thought leadership is designed for social shareability, for brand awareness, more than for showing up on SERPs. SEO content, which supposedly is unlike thought leadership, can be high level, generic, and borderline boring, most of the time straight up boring. But what if I told you that SEO content can and should be thought leadership? So what is thought leadership, right? Thought leadership is a term that's now nearly as cringy as the word influencer, right? Everyone has it on their LinkedIn headline, regardless of whether they've ever expressed original and influential thought before. But really, what defines a thought leader? And specifically, what makes content thought leadership content? The confusion, I think, lies in thinking that thought leadership is a kind of content when actually it's the way that you approach content. Thought leadership can be a part of your sales pages, email campaigns, blog posts, white papers, podcasts, and yes, even your SEO content. So thought leadership of any kind needs to meet the following criteria. 1, it's based on experience or expertise. 2, it's authentic and it has passed through a brain filter. So the brain filter is what I just call your brain, a super useful thing that all of us have, but so few of us seem to use to pass through our SEO content before we hit publish. The things that thought leadership can be, but it doesn't have to be: 1, a controversial opinion or one that goes against conventional wisdom. It can, but it doesn't have to go against it. 2, it needs to be they say it needs to be based on your own experience or data. Again, it can be, but you can also draw conclusions from other people's experience or data. 3, an opinion piece. Thought leadership can also be factual, how-to, or any other kind of content that SEO typically shows up in. It just needs to have authentically passed through the brain filter and be based on experience or expertise, right? So that means it can't be based on doing a quick cursory Google search. Thought leadership is not regurgitating the same thing that hundreds of other content marketers have regurgitated already from one another without ever having actually done the thing that they're writing about. So why do I think that SEO needs to be thought leadership? Well, today you can't really find original keywords to rank for that A, are relevant to your target audience, B, have the right search intent, C, have search volume, and D, that your competitors haven't thought of yet. So simply put, in the SERPs, in the search engine results page, it's opinion and experience that moves the needle, right? So imagine you're looking to solve a problem and you look up how to solve it on Google. So what you tend to find, so you find an article and then you quickly realize something very unfortunate, that the person who wrote this article that's helping you has neither ever solved this problem themselves, nor have they even experienced the problem in the first place, right? So it's really obvious within the first 2 sentences, it's glaring at you and you just stop reading. Or if you're unlucky enough, you actually follow the advice written in their article, if you can find any advice within the fluff, the compilement, that's not even a word, but just all that fluff that it's hard to actually find any meat in there, right? And so you follow that advice and then you don't get anywhere closer to solving your problem. So where do you go? Well, most people go to forums, they go to Facebook groups, and they ask their friends, people who have actually experienced and solved the thing, because Google articles can't be trusted anymore. That's how they're seeing it, And Google's not happy about that. And they're taking action. So it's not that complicated, really. It just means that when you're creating SEO content, you need to dig deeper and look behind the obvious. Then you put some love into your content and you pass it through your brain, which means you turn that on and think about it. So even the Google Webmaster Guidelines provided some great questions that content producers should ask before they hit the publish button. That is, does the content provide original information, reporting, research, or analysis? Does the content provide a substantial, complete, or comprehensive description of the topic? Does the content provide insightful analysis or interesting information that is beyond obvious? If the content draws on other sources, does it avoid simply copying or rewriting those sources and instead provide a substantial additional value and originality? Is this the sort of page that you'd want to bookmark, share with a friend, or recommend? Would you expect to see this content in or referenced by a printed magazine, encyclopedia, or book? They also ask questions like about expertise. These are questions that Google actually has in their guidelines, and they tell people to follow them. So some of these questions are, does the content present information in a way that makes you want to trust it, such as clear sourcing, evidence of the expertise involved, background about the author, or the site that publishes it, such as through links to an author's page or about page? If you research the site producing the content, would you come away with an impression that it is well trusted or widely recognized as an authority on the topic? Is this content written by an expert or an enthusiast who demonstrably knows the content well, the topic well? Is the content free from easily verified factual errors? Would you be comfortable trusting this content for issues relating to your money or your life? So I've taken out a lot of the points that they've added, but these are all the ones that they emphasize based on whether your content is going to rank or not. So it's not just my opinion that SEO content needs to be thought leadership. Google is telling SEOs that they better start using their brains. And soon enough, it's going to be the only way for your SEO content to make an impact. So providing useful and truly useful and relevant information falls under delivering on search intent, really, which is arguably the most important factor in ranking today. So the next question that you may have is, what if you don't have the time or the writing skills, or you just don't want to write? Or alternatively, what if you've been hired to do it, but you don't have the experience? So this is the unfortunate reality that we find ourselves in. Thought leaders, the people with the experience, know-how, and expertise, they just don't have any time. And most don't want to spend their time writing SEO content, right? So they want to hire people to do that. So now you're probably sitting there thinking like, are you telling me that if CEOs of brands want good SEO content, they have to do it themselves or spend the time on that? Well, no, they can outsource. And then on the other hand, a content writer gets tasked with writing a piece about something that they've never done for a C-level readership who's living a day-to-day life that the content writer couldn't possibly comprehend. That starts to make things a little bit complicated, right? But the solution is simpler than you think. You can outsource SEO thought leadership. So the content writer just needs to take off their content marketer hat and put on their journalist hat. Journalists are trained to write deep analyses on topics that they don't know about and industries that they have no experience in. They just know how to find information and ask the right questions. So in my content marketing agency at Flying Cat Marketing, our team creates SEO content based on interviews with experts, industry contributor quotes, scoring through forums to understand the real questions that people ask, the problems they're facing, and even doing like help a reporter out, HARO, however you pronounce that, to try to get quotes from people and understand how this thing is actually done. Okay? So you don't need an agency to do it. You can do it in-house or you can train somebody to do it as long as they follow the formula, okay? So keywords are important, on-page optimization is important, link building is important, technical SEO is important, yes, but none of that will matter if the content hasn't gone through the brain filter. And if you pass it through that filter, the first thing that you're gonna say is, hey, most of the stuff on Google is written by people who have never done this. I'd better not re-summarize what they're saying, and I'd better investigate this a little bit further, right? I mean, it's obvious when I say it, but... So the formula to ensure that is... The first step of the formula is to ensure that within the first 2 sentences, the reader can feel that the writer has been in their shoes before, or at least has talked to people who have been in their shoes before and understand their situation. Then make sure that the content, the solution, the argument, the guide, whatever it is based on information that you've gathered from people who have actually done the thing, okay? This is important. So SEO content has been notoriously bad for a really long time, to the dismay of the readers and to the people who are paying for SEO content. but it doesn't need to be that way. Actually, I think that SEO content can achieve Google's dream and its mission, and it's to deliver relevant information when people search for it. So that's my video for today. I'm interested in what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all tomorrow.